Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Please like and share the videos that I post, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. I'll post some interesting chess content. So today I'm back with another game of mine from the GM Bijeljina closed GM round robin tournament in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So this is one of my best games in the tournament so far. This is the second round robin. The first one is over. So, without further ado, let's go over the game. I had the white pieces against Milosevic Milos, a strong player from Serbia. So, I played e4. He opened with the big defense, d6, d4, knight f6, knight c3, e5. And for those who don't know, here d takes e5 is not so great because black gets a fairly equal position into the end game, and black can develop normally like c6, bishop d6, king c7, and black is perfectly fine. So instead I play knight f3, which is the best move, knight b d7, bishop c4, bishop e7, and castles. Rook e1, c6, so far so good. Now the idea of c6 is to play b5, so I prevented it a4. This is also theory. h6, preventing knight g5 ideas, h3, rook e8, and now a5. Gaining space on the queen side and also preventing some knight b6 ideas. He played bishop f8 to put pressure on the e4 pawn and opening the way for his rook. Bishop e3. Now, usually knight takes e4 works in this case, but what I thought was after knight takes e4, d5, I can play knight fd2 at least, and after something like dc4, knight c4, ed4, maybe bishop d4 or queen d4, I get a slightly better position. And if d takes e4, even queen h5 here. Due to the fact that g6 is not possible because of queen takes d6 check, exploiting the pin. So if e takes d4, then I just play bishop takes d4, defending my e4 pawn, and if c5, then I can play bishop e3. All of this I saw during the game. Knight takes e4, takes. Here's the variation I calculated: bishop f7, king f7, queen d5, rook e6, and now queen takes e6. No mercy. King takes e6, bishop g5 check at least wins me an exchange. Okay, so queen c7 was played by him. It's a very natural move. Knight d2 now, with the idea to go f4 afterwards. Not now, because there might be some d5 tricks for black, in which the queen then attacks the f4 pawn indirectly. He played g6. The idea to go bishop g7. I played bishop b3. A very natural move, but according to the computer, I'm almost winning with the move d5. Sorry about that. d5. Yep. d5 is a strong move because it keeps the opponent's pieces crammed, and I don't know. It's not easy for black to play some active moves. But I wanted to keep the game a bit more open, and I played bishop b3. With the idea if he goes bishop g7, which he went for during the game, I play f4, attacking. If e takes f4, then bishop f4, and I have a nice position. If knight h5, then bishop e3 back. There's no problem at all. And if e takes d4, bishop takes d4, there's still no problem because I have got the strong center. Instead, my opponent played knight g4, which looks like a tactical brilliancy. But it's surprising that it loses to queen takes d4, e takes d4, and my opponent attacks this knight and bishop. Queen g6 And the point is that the f7 pawn is now hanging and pinned. And I saw this during the game, but I was worried about d5. But the computer, being heartless, plays queen g3. It's the best move. But here comes the human factor. The chess is game of emotions and intuitions. And yeah, it was tough for me to just play this. And even knight f8 is a move here, protecting g6, where the computer wants to play f5, self pinning into the being self pinned by the bishop on c8, and now allowing e takes d4 and somehow bishop f4, giving up the knight on c3 with tempo, and I don't know what's going on. Instead, I played h takes d4, which is the more human approach. Then he played e takes d4, forking the knight and bishop, getting the piece back. And now I played knight c4. And now the thing is that if my opponent plays d takes c3, something like that, I'll play knight takes d6, attacking the rook and the pawn. And now I'm gonna push e5 and have a crushing attack. My opponent, of course, was worried about it and played d5. And e takes d5 I saw, but it was not so clear because my opponent could just simply take on c3, and I did not have knight d6 this time, so it was a bit tricky. I mean, I could play d takes c6 followed by knight d6, but still I wasn't sure. So instead, I took on d4, regaining my pawn. D takes c4, bishop takes c4, and after bishop takes c4, I realized a trick black can use that to get some play, which I missed from afar, and even my opponent missed in the game. As soon as I played bishop takes c4, I was like, oh my god. And there are two moves here. It doesn't matter which one first. First, let's say bishop takes d4 check, queen takes d4, queen takes f4. It looks like rook f1. The queen has to move somewhere, and we'll take on f7, winning an exchange. But all of these dreams go to vain because of queen e5, and bishop takes f7 check means nothing. King g7, and our queen is under attack. If queen e5, then rook e5, and the rook is also saved. After this, the position is slightly better for me, but not that better. Thankfully, my opponent played knight f6. I was very happy about that. And now I played bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, and now e5. And my opponent played bishop h4 without much thinking, and I thought for a while here. I was thinking about knight e4 ideas, but I was a bit worried about rook d8, and would have to waste tempo with my queen, and my opponent would take on e1. Knight e4's main idea is after bishop e1, you actually take knight f6, king f8, and you do not take on e8, but play queen e1, something like that, building up an attack on the king side, playing in Mikhail Tal style. But sadly, I did not see a way to make that work. So, according to the computer, the best move is g3. If bishop g3, then queen d3, and bishop e1 actually loses to queen takes d6 check. The same idea that we saw during that queen takes d4 line. And the thing is that the queen will gobble up this h6 pawn, and maybe knight e4 is there with mating threats, and it's gonna be game over. So bishop f4, this is what I was worried about. I saw g3 actually in the game, but I was worried about bishop f4, queen g6, king f8, And now according to the computer, it's queen h7, bishop e5, and rook e5, rook e5, rook f1. And here, the reason I did not go for this line is rook e6. I saw something like this. I was afraid that there are going to be queen g3 check ideas with perpetual. For example, if you take bishop e6, it is very natural. The thing is, there's queen g3, king h1, and just a repetition, a forced repetition. But according to the computer, it's knight e4 and GG. I played the more simple approach, queen d3 directly with the same idea. First time hitting the g6 pawn. My opponent played king g7. Now I played g3. The queen is defending the g3 pawn. My opponent played bishop e7, and now I spent some time. And the idea of my opponent is that if I play f5, he'll go bishop c5 check and win my pawn. That's why he did not go rook d8 first, because he wants to keep an eye on the e5 pawn. He played bishop e7 first, and now here starts a list of great moves, attacking moves, brilliant moves. I played f5 anyways. My opponent played bishop c5 check. Immediately I played king g2, rook takes e5, and now f6 check. Probably this is what my opponent missed. And by the way, if something like g takes f5, g takes f5, rook takes e5, still f6 check works brilliantly. And this time even more so, because after king f8, there's queen h7 with the devastating idea of checkmate, and black would be lost. So he played rook takes e5, which is the more challenging move. f6 check. The thing is, if king takes f6, then I play simply rook f1 check, king g7, then rook f7, and it's just a winning position. That's what I calculated during the game. And king g5 is simply stupid. I don't know, knight e4 check at least is there, and maybe even rook f7. All these ideas are there. So king g5 it makes no sense to me. And I think the best move here is king f8. That's what I saw. This was the most challenging. Here I had actually calculated queen d2. If g5, then rook h1, something like that. But even here rook e5, queen e5, and the idea of queen d8 check does not work because of queen e8. King f8 was the most challenging approach to me. I don't know what to do here. Even I am not sure. But yeah, according to the engine, I am just winning. My opponent plays king h7. Note that he can't play king g8 due to the fact of queen g6 check. And game over. Again the pin with the bishop on c4. Very deadly. My opponent played king h7, which is a blunder. You can pause the video here and try to find the best move for white. Okay, the best move is bishop f7. I found it during the game. And if rook e1 here, then just queen g6, king h8, and queen g8. Goodbye. And if rook g5, which was played in the game, and also let me mention queen f7, there is rook e5, and I'm just straight up winning. My f6 pawn is protected and the c5 bishop is attacked. Okay, rook g5, and now according to the engine, the best move here, killing immediately, rook e8. The point being, if queen f7, then queen d8, and mate is unstoppable. Black has to just give up the queen to survive somehow, and that not for much longer. Rookie, I played a more simple move and more human move, knight e4. With the point being, after queen takes f7, to not take on g5, but take on c5. Because the thing is that knight g5 at g5, it should be winning for white, but I did not see anything clear. So I went for knight c5, which is more accurate according to the engine, with the threat of rook e7. And basically, if, like, for example, rook c5, rook e7 is there, and if queen f6, knight e4, coming back with the knight and forking the queen and rook again with a clearly winning position. Both of my rooks are active, the king is in a poor situation, and there's no way to prevent rook e7. If king g8, then I play queen d8, queen f8, rook e8. Goodbye. Okay, so my opponent here played queen d5 check, a bit more desperate to trade queens. Queen takes d5, rook takes d5, and here comes the final move of the game, rook e8. After this move, my opponent resigned, as a pawn on f6 is unstoppable. It's gonna go and promote it. For example, if rook c5, then f7, rook c2, even king g1, and the rook simply can't get to the f file to stop my f pawn. Black simply can't survive. After rook e8, for example, if bishop g4 or something, still I go rook a8, rook c5, and f7, and there are huge material losses for black. So after rook e8, my opponent decided to throw the towel, and here's how I won a brilliant attacking game. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon. Goodbye.